Good morning. Welcome to the reading vlog. My name is Katie. I'm excited because I'm reading some things that I have been highly anticipating this week, and I just wanted to take you along with me because we're now into the second week of October, so I just want to read spooky things, October themed things, so that's what we're gonna do this week. So I'm actually in the middle of two things right now, and the first one is Sign Here. This was my book of the month pick for this month. I was so excited to read this when I heard the premise because it just sounds like my perfect book. We're in hell following people who work there, and so we get this view of hell that's very bureaucratic and deeply funny. We're kind of learning the quirks of hell, like the fact that the only alcohol you can get in hell is Jägermeister. The puddles are also randomly generated for depth. So you might step into a puddle and it's 1 inch, you might step into a puddle and it comes up to your elbows. It's just, everything's awful basically, and it's really funny. The chapters are really short, it's super fast paced. We're following like 4 different perspectives. Our main character in hell, his name is Peyote Trip, and we're also following Calamity Ganon, the villain of my favorite video game franchise of all time, The Legend of Zelda. So it's fun. I'm having a really good time. We're also following this family on Earth that our main character is watching very closely. I'm like halfway through, so I'm thinking I'm probably gonna finish this in the next couple of days. My audiobook right now is Portrait of a Thief, and I'm halfway through. I was really hoping that this would give me art heist vibes, and that is the premise of the book. It's a group of people who are completing a bunch of art heists to return stolen art to China. And the premise is perfect. I absolutely love this premise. It's a little unrealistic. Like, we're following a group of college students completing sophisticated art heists, and they've never completed art heists before. I'm halfway through, I want to finish the book, but I'm just not enjoying it as much as I thought I would, so that's been a little disappointing. Other things I want to read this week, I have my very first ARC, and I'm really excited to read that, so that'll definitely be happening this week on my Kindle, and then I got a whole shelf back here of fall-themed things that we have to read from, so that's the plan for the week, and I'll keep you guys updated. I hope you're having a good week. It's finally cold here. I'm having a great time. I'm a cold weather girly through and through. Alright, I had soup for breakfast and I'm eating waffles for lunch because it's Sunday and I'm gonna do what makes me happy. I do want to tell you about Sign Here because I'm now over halfway through it and I have some feelings that I want to share. Also, thoughts on real maple syrup versus fake maple syrup, because they're very different flavors because we don't really know what syrup is. We haven't figured out how to recreate it. That's why they taste so different. So I feel like if you grew up with fake maple syrup, if that was like the norm, you have the memory attachment to it and you like that better. But if you grew up with real maple syrup, that's what you have the childhood memory attachment to. Let me know what you think. The reading experience is interesting because it's funny. It feels like there's a lot of heart in here, but then also our characters do and say things and you get to find out some of what their life was like on Earth that is just really horrible, bad things. And it's really dark. There's some self-harm in here, and I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on it at the end of the book. That's something that I don't love reading about, so if you're the same way, I just wanted to let you know that is a factor in this book. So far, it's definitely delivering on the premise. We are following a group of people working in hell trying to get people on Earth to sell their souls. And that part of it, I'm really, really enjoying. We're also now following this family, the Harrisons, that our main character, Peyote Trip, has a vested interest in. He wants this family specifically, he needs to get more of them to sell their souls. And so we are following them on Earth and I guess trying to figure out like which member of the family it's gonna be, because he only needs like one more member of this family. It's very interesting to try to predict who it's gonna be. I'm loving the structure of this book. Like I said earlier, the chapters are so fast paced. And any chapter where there's not something big happening, it's sandwiched between a really big reveal. And so you're left on a cliffhanger and then you want to speed through the next chapter to keep going. So it's not a book that I am feeling like I ever want to put down. I'm just flying through this book. So I'm eating my waffles and then I really just want to finish this book. The writing in this book is so good. Lily knew that for most girls, the smart ones at least, charm was a defense, which rose to the surface less like cream and more like dorsal fins. The imagery is so freaking good, and there's so many little phrases like that just sprinkled into the pages. Claudia Lux knows how to write, and I really hope she continues writing because this is her debut. And I'm gonna read anything that she writes after this. I'm having a great time. I have updates for you. I have like 15 minutes to do this because then House of the Dragon is on and I gotta watch it live. So I did finish Sign Here and I got a lot of thoughts about this. This was the most engrossing book I have read in a really long time. I could not put this down. It was just so freaking good. The chapters were so short and every single chapter we were left on a cliffhanger. And so it almost felt by the end of this that the book was just like laughing at me, like toying with me, because all these chapters are so short and every single one left on a cliffhanger. And then it switches perspectives. So then you're like stuck in the other story and you want to know what's gonna happen in the other one. And it was just like, it feels like half of this book is like The Good Place-ish, and half of this book is this really outrageous, crazy thriller, and they just mashed them together in this amazing book. I cannot believe this is a debut. I read you a couple of the lines in the book. I mean, the imagery in here is just fantastic. The writing is so good. It's dealing with some really heavy topics. I did mention there's some self-harm in here. It wasn't a big part of the story, so that's on me for not looking up the content warnings before I read it. I was just not expecting it to be in here, so just a heads up on that part. Otherwise, I really, really loved this. The way it came together at the end was perfection. Highly recommend, and I will be picking up whatever this author publishes in the future. And then, not to end on a bad note, but I also finished Portrait of a Thief and I did not love it. I was going to show you the picture on my phone, but I have already returned it to the library because it was pretty disappointing and I'm really bummed about it. It actually reminds me, let me get some books. Unfortunately, this reminded me of the Atlas 6 in a big way, and I did not love the Atlas 6 either. I think I like Portrait of the Thief better than I liked the Atlas 6, but the things that bothered me about the Atlas 6 were the same things that bothered me about Portrait of the Thief. It's a group of people who are stealing art from museums and returning that art to its rightful owner because those are things that were looted from China and should be returned to China. Loved the premise of the book. Didn't love how it was executed. There were parts of this book that I really enjoyed. I loved the art heist stuff. I loved the political messages. Didn't love the interactions of the characters, and I didn't love the fact that we were seeing all of their perspectives, and it just felt like I wasn't getting enough of a deep dive into each person. But because we needed to get every single person's perspective on every single thing that happened, it felt like the book was just too long, and I was bored. I would have DNF'd this so many times if I was reading this physically, but because it was the audiobook, I was like, I just want to finish it. I want to let you guys know what I thought of it, because this was one of my most anticipated reads of the year. And I've been so excited to read this for so long, and I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it, so I just wanted to give you my opinion, and unfortunately it's not great. But this also reminded me of I Kiss Shara Wheeler in the way that I don't think I'm the intended audience. I am no longer a college student. I feel like if you read a lot of young adults or a lot of new adults, that genre where it's like young 20-somethings, I'm a young 20-something, but I don't know, it just felt, it was pretty unbelievable, like the fact that someone would hire a group of college students to pull off an art heist instead of actual professionals. If you like Crazy Rich Asians, because there's kind of like a nouveau rich situation going on, if you like glitterati stuff, that plays a small part of this. If you liked the Atlas 6 and you liked I Kiss Shara Wheeler, I think Portrait of a Thief would work for you. And if you like art heist, because that's obviously a big part of this. Sorry Sully's chewing his bone, I'm sure you guys can hear that, but he's just a happy boy and he just wants to chew his bone. I had a really lovely Sunday. I finished 2 books, which I wasn't expecting to finish both of these today. Portrait of a Thief I finished purely because I could not fathom having to read it again tomorrow. I'll say one more thing. It did also remind me a little bit about Babel, so maybe if you liked this and this and this, Portrait of a Thief is for you. Okay. I had a really lovely Sunday and basically just hung out with the dog, played in the yard, read in the hammock, went on lots of walks, hung out with the kitty. I'm gonna go watch House of the Dragon, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Morale is low today. I am having horrific cramps, so Monday's off to a good start. I thankfully don't have too many meetings today. I only have 2 in the morning, so I'm gonna try to make my way through those. I'm tired and in pain. So I started listening to Lakewood on my walk with the doggy this morning, and I'm having a good time so far. Well, I'm not having it's horror, so it's not a good time. But it's been very interesting. So basically our main character, her grandmother has just died, and so we see her funeral and everything, and her mother is sick. She's got some sort of illness, and it looks like the doctors don't really know what's going on, but she's got weakness, migraines, nausea, not a good time. And so they've got a lot of medical debt. She's got student loan debt. She's in school. She's trying to hold the family up because her grandmother basically raised her, and now she's got to take care of her mom, and also try to have enough money to go to school and everything. So she signs up for these clinical trials, and that's what the Lakewood Project is. And so this is going to be some medical horror, and I'm really excited to finally read this. I had plans to read this in the summer and then wasn't able to get around to it. So really excited to see where this goes. I have super high hopes for this. So that's been a nice part of my morning. I'm enjoying it. The audiobook isn't my favorite thing, so I might switch to reading physically, but I don't know how much physical reading is going to happen today because I am not doing so hot. All right, I'm gonna go prep for these meetings. I'll check in with you later. Hello, I am showered and feeling a tiny bit better. I just worked from the couch this morning and just did any menial task I needed to do for the rest of the week. Just did basically anything that didn't require creative brain power. My brain is she's not working today. She's focused on me being in pain and pretty much nothing else. Yeah, morale is still low, but I feel a lot better after the shower, and you can see it in my face. I'm not doing well. So Nurse Sully is on duty, which has been very, very nice. I did just have my lunch break. It's like 2:30 now, and I had some soup, some chicken, mushroom, really delicious, good soup. So That's in my tummy, and while I was eating, I also was reading. Okay, well, I'm reading I Saw the Devil's Face. This is my very first ARC that I have ever gotten. This book comes out on October 31st, and it is the true story of the author's life with Joseph Michael Callady. He was her babysitter and abused her. He's like a true crime figure. I hadn't personally heard a lot about him before. The name was familiar, but beyond that, hadn't ingested a lot of content. I don't read or watch a lot of true crime, especially if it deals with abuse of children, because it's something that's really hard for me to ingest. And so I started reading this, and it's, as expected, really, really hard to read. I'm on page 70-ish, and I'm really struggling. Not because the writing is bad, the writing is very personal, and you feel like you're having a conversation with the author, and she's speaking kind of directly to you. And so I'm struggling a little bit to read it. I'm gonna take my time with it. I might not finish it in this vlog, so I'll just update you when I do finish it. I want to finish it before the release date so I can let you know my final thoughts. But so far, this is the kind of book that I would respect from afar. These types of books, when I finish them, they end up being like some of my favorite, most powerful, haunting books I've ever read, like Chanel Miller's memoir, Know My Name. That's my favorite memoir I've ever read, just because the writing is so powerful. But I also very often cannot finish these books because the subject matter is so difficult for me to read. So that's where I'm at now. I just want to be honest with you guys about that. I think this book was very obviously very therapeutic for the author to write. I'm so glad that she was able to go through that journey and write this book and publish this book. And I encourage you to pick it up, even though I haven't read it all the way through yet. I encourage you to pick it up if you want to go on that journey with her and be a part of that healing therapeutic process for her, if that's something that you and your mental health can do. I'll leave the link in the description for how you can get this book if you would like to pick it up. So thank you, Teresa, for sending me this book. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm honored that you share this piece of your life with me and with the rest of the world. So those are my thoughts on that. I'm just going to update you when I finish it and give you final thoughts, whether that's in this video or a different video. But in case I don't finish it in this video, I just wanted to make sure that I gave you that update in case I am not able to finish it before the release date. And post a video before the release date, but that's what I'm hoping to do, which it comes out on October 31st. Okay, I am going to get back to work and see if I can be more productive, but I'm really not doing so hot. I'll check in with you when morale is a little bit higher. Obviously yesterday wasn't ideal, but I did actually get quite a bit of reading done, and then Sully and I got some reading done on our lunch walk and also our morning walk before I went to the conference. So I only have this much left of liquid. So we're almost done. I would love to read more medical horror, so please let me know if you have any recommendations in the comments. But basically we're following our main character. She's in these studies now at Lakewood, and it's really, really interesting because we've got a little bit of an unreliable narrator. The study she's in, she thinks that has something to do with memory because they keep asking her to remember these sequences of words. Things are happening to the study participants that are not good. Obviously, this is horror, so shit's gonna go down. But there's also this other element to this, and I think that's what makes this so scary, is that in addition to this creepy study that's going on with some of the horror elements, there's also a race aspect to this. All of the people who are running the study are white, and pretty much all of the participants are people of color. That aspect adds just a whole nother level of horror to this, because obviously this is something that we have a history with. Experimenting on people of color for medical reasons is something that definitely exists in our history, and still our medical system is extremely biased. Sully needs more attention, so I'll just let you know final thoughts when I finish it. Really enjoying it, and tomorrow I'll be back to regular vlog content, hopefully. Great week to decide to vlog when I'm feeling awful. So thanks, body. I will see you later. Good morning. It's already been a day and a half, and it's not even noon. Apparently, my roof has water damage, so there were guys here this morning assessing the water damage and trying to figure that situation out. And then my landlord texted me and was like, hey, they're gonna replace the whole roof tomorrow. So they're gonna be making a lot of noise and replacing the roof, and I'm so thankful that I have a really fantastic landlord. He is so great. I love him. He always does everything as soon as possible and is just so considerate. Love my landlord, and that's something that I've never experienced before. However, that does mean that I can't really be in my house tomorrow because I work from home, and I need to film some stuff for work, and I can't really do that when there are loud noises happening. Reading updates, the things you actually care about. I finished Lakewood last night. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. It was scary. I love horror that has a social element to this, and this definitely did. I think I prefer horror that goes a little bit more over the top than this did. For the book that Megan Giddings set out to write, it was excellent. Can't believe this is a debut. The craft, the skill, incredible. Things I'm reading now. I did start listening to the audiobook of Ring Shout on my walk this morning, but I'm not loving the audiobook. It's such a short book, so every single sentence is very meaningful, and I just want to make sure that I am getting everything out of it and not missing anything because I'm also on a walk while I'm reading, if that makes sense. I tend to prefer to read shorter books physically, longer books on audio. That's just my personal preference. So I'll be switching to reading this physically. But so far, it's an amazing story. So this talks a lot about the film, The Birth of a Nation, which is really interesting. So this is like steeped in history and actuality, which is some of my favorite horror. This does go over the top. It's gross. I'm loving it so far. There are these monsters that are Ku Kluxes, so it's surrounding the Klan. So basically the humans in the KKK like summoned some demon monsters, and so the humans have turned into these horrifying monsters that like their faces shift and they have all these little mouths, and it's really deeply scary, and I'm having a fantastic time reading it. It's so well done. I'm loving all of the characters we're getting to see. There's a little bit of a romantic subplot. Even, yeah, it's really packing a punch in just the short amount of pages that I have already read. Yeah, I'm like almost halfway through it now because it's so short. This is also one of my favorite covers I have seen recently. All right, I need to eat lunch and then go back to work. I'm trying to get as much done today as I can because I know tomorrow is going to be tricky with the roof work that needs to be done. Also, I think I wore this shirt already in this video, but that's just what's gonna happen. See you later. Hello, I'm in a car in a drive-through parking lot. Sully's with me. Because the roof is being redone today and I thought I might be able to leave Sully there, but he was pretty freaked out by the noise. So, we left. I took my laptop with me to a very nice park, which you should have seen some B-roll of. So I went to the park and worked until my laptop died. I literally was trying to edit a 40-second video for work, and it died. It wasn't fully charged. It was like, I don't know, 40% of the way charged. And then I was editing a 40-second video. It exported and ate up like all of the battery that I was trying to upload it so that my coworker could get it and use it. And it died halfway through. So I was like, oh, well, I have an outlet in my car, but it's not grounded. There's no like third prong. So I couldn't charge my laptop in the car. So I ran back home to plug the laptop in, and thankfully I was needed at home anyways. The guys who were doing the roof needed an outlet, so I let them into the laundry room so they could use the outlet that's in there. And now I'm gonna get lunch and do a little bit of reading while the laptop is charging, and then we're gonna go back and grab the laptop and try to do some more work today as much as we can. But I let my coworkers know that I'm a little out of pocket today, and they said don't worry about it. So I do have a TikTok for work that I need to edit, so I'm going to try to do that. on my phone. I grabbed the graphic I needed to add to it before the laptop died. So I'm gonna do that. I'll let you know what I'm reading when I have my food. All right, so I got some ice cream for Sully because he's cooped up with me today. But this is way too much ice cream for a dog, so I'm gonna eat half of it and then we'll give it to the dog. All right, some ice cream. Come here, it's for you. And easy. Do you like it? He really likes it. There's a little bit more in there. Lucky you got a big tongue. Okay, I think that's enough. He had a little bit of it. Success. Alright, we're at a different park now. I am almost halfway through Woman Eating. This is what I'm reading on audiobook now. Our main character is a vampire, and her mother was a vampire. And it's really interesting because her mother's view on being a vampire is that they have a human side and a demon side. And the demon is horrible, awful. They should be disgusted that they are vampires. And the only reason why they should stay alive is to keep the human side of them alive. And there's a really interesting story about how, like, our main character's mother turned her into a vampire and why she did that, and kind of like, I don't know, her mom feels like she failed as a mother basically, but it's also incredibly toxic as a mother. Like, she's basically told her daughter the whole entire time she's been alive that she's a disgusting, sinful creature, and that sucks. The writing is really, really good. The audiobook is excellent. The voice is very breathy, and just the way that she acts out this book is really, really well done. Our main character's name is Lydia, and Lydia wants to try regular food, but she can't. The only thing that she physically can eat is blood, and so she wants to try all of these foods. She watches like YouTube videos of people, what I eat in a day, people eating, and she's kind of obsessed with the act of eating, and she can't eat. And it's also very difficult for her to source blood to eat, so she's hungry all the time. She talks about her urges to eat people, and it's just so good. I'm really, really loving this book. Okay, I'm gonna finish reading this, and then you know the drill. See you later. Good morning, it's Friday. Thank God. I ended up coming home around like 3:30, and they were still working on the house, and I physically could not make myself leave my house again. I was absolutely exhausted, and Sully was exhausted. So we just lay down in my bed. We just closed the door, and when they were working on that section of the roof, we moved to a different part of the house. I just put headphones on and cuddled with Sully, and it was a big day. And they weren't done until like 8 last night. And then they had to come back this morning to pick up a bunch of nails because there were nails all over the yard, and it's just been a whole process. But it's done now, and I have a new roof, and I'm very happy that they were able to get everything done on one day. I have also finished reading Woman Eating, and 5 stars. This is so good. This book surpassed all of my expectations, and my expectations were high to begin with. This is my favorite type of monster story. It reminds me a lot of Frankenstein, in which we are watching a character who is not human grapple with that identity, and it works so well in here because Lydia has this view of herself as having a human side and a demon side, and battling those two halves of herself. And the conversations around food and belonging and being of mixed race, it's just such a beautiful story. It made me think so many things. It was unsettling and beautiful and literary. I really, really loved this book, and I would highly encourage you to pick it up if you have not already. This has been such a good week for reading. I really only had one book that disappointed me, and that was Portrait of a Thief, and that's okay. Tomorrow, hopefully I'll be able to finish Ring Shout, and then I'll give you final thoughts on everything. Hello. I just made grilled cheese. I'm done with work, and I just finished Ring Shout. I'm ending this vlog here. It's already very long. Let's recap everything that we read. So to start with, we read Sign Here, which is a new favorite. I'm so freaking excited to have this on my favorite shelf. Absolutely loved every single second. If you like The Good Place and you like over-the-top thrillers, please read this. Then we read Portrait of a Thief, which I didn't love and I don't want to talk about, so we're not going to. Then I read Lakewood, which was also incredible. If you like medical horror, please pick this up. Then I read Woman Eating, literary vampire story, reminded me so much of Frankenstein. Yes, please. And Ring Show was so good. I really hope there is a second book because the way that it ended left it open where there could be a sequel, and I really hope there is. I would love for this to become like a Wayward Children situation where the books are super short but we get like one of them every year. I would absolutely love for that to happen with this. The whole time I was reading this, I was just thinking, gosh, I wish this book was longer. I want to be in this world longer. I want to see this whole magical fantasy world that our author has created. It was just so good. The ending was excellent. I loved the messages about hate in here. It was peak. I think I said that I wasn't loving the audiobook of this. I don't know what was wrong with me, but the audiobook is incredible. I would recommend the audiobook. And I really loved the voices that our narrator did for all the different characters. And I found myself putting it on like 3 times speed and reading with my eyeballs. I wanted the voices the narrator had created in my head while I was reading, so I just read and listened, and it was an impeccable experience, so I would recommend that. Also, look at how pretty. You think it's pretty? You can't eat them though, they're books. Yeah, you can't eat them. Sorry. Look how pretty these all look together. They're all red. Amazing. So we read 5 books this week, which, amazing. I wasn't expecting to read that many books this week. Let me know how your reading is going in the comments. Let me know if you've read any of these. I would love to chat about them. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. I post every single Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern. If you want to stick around, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you here. I hope you're having a good week. I'll see you on Sunday. Bye.